The Air Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard is one of the best Air Jordan releases of all time. And finally, 10 years after it first released, Jordan Brand is bringing it back for the first time. This is the 2025 Air Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard. But can it live up to the hype? Let's find out. In the summer of Michael Jordan's rookie year in 1985, he decided to go play an exhibition game in Italy. The Italian club that he was making an appearance for was Stefano Trieste, whose color scheme was orange, black, and white. During that game, Michael scored 30 points, which is pretty decent, but it wasn't the most impressive thing of the entire event. During one of his dunks, he jumps up, grabs the rim, and shatters the backboard. And that event became one of the most legendary stories in basketball history, especially because it happened to the GOAT. So to pay homage to that event, in 2015, Jordan Brand released the Shattered Backboard Air Jordan 1s, which came in the color scheme of the jersey that he was wearing for that team and featured a shattered backboard graphic on the insole. As legendary as that story is, and as great as this colorway is, specifically because of the color blocking, the reason this shoe became so popular and one of the most iconic Air Jordan sneakers of all time is because this shoe featured some of the best leather ever used on Jordan sneakers. For the last 10 years, whenever a new Jordan comes out, people always ask the question, is the leather on that shoe shattered backboard quality? And that's because the Shattered Backboard 1 set the bar in terms of modern leather quality on Air Jordan sneakers. This shoe just feels incredible in the hand. That said, it is still a mass-produced pair of sneakers. It's not as high quality as a $1,000 handmade designer shoe, especially not leather quality wise, but compared to any of the recent Jordan releases or any of the releases around the time of this shoe releasing, it was miles ahead. It set the bar for quality. The tumbled leather on the side of the shoe felt incredibly soft. Even the leather on the toe just felt so plush and looked so good. You could see the pores around the heel of the shoe, which is not something that you can usually see on Air Jordan sneakers. And there was this really nice color variation because it was real leather and it wore really nicely. And man, the grain on the edges of the leather panel, it just looked amazing, and it gets better with age the more that you wear it. So when a rumor came out that Jordan Brand was finally bringing back the Shattered Backboards, the question that immediately came to everyone's mind was, is the quality going to be as good? And I don't know if you caught my comparison video between the Shattered Backboards and the new Shattered Backboards, but unfortunately the answer is not as good as I was hoping. And of course we'll get into all of that later on in the video, but with that being said, if you want a chance to win a Nintendo Switch 2 for yourself, I'm actually giving away one over on my tech channel, which is linked in the top of the description below. Of course, like all of my giveaways, I'm running it through Core, which is the fairest and I think the best way to do it. So if you guys want to have a chance to win this console for yourself, you need to get the Core badges. Again, they're all going to be on my tech channel, some of which will be on this channel, so make sure to subscribe to both, check them both out. The giveaway ends at the end of the month. So hopefully by the end of the month, you're playing a brand new Switch 2. We'll see what happens. For those of you like myself who have been eagerly waiting the retro of the classic Shattered Backboards, the good news is you don't have that much longer to wait. These shoes should release on August 23rd, 2025 for a retail price of $180. Now, of course, if you want to grab a pair early like I did, you can check them out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen down below. Currently, resale prices are kind of high. That being said, the time that I've spent with this shoe and also the resale prices of some of the other Air Jordan 1s that have released recently, I would assume that this price is going to drop pretty quickly. So in my opinion, if you want to grab these early, there's a good chance that the prices will drop to probably around retail is my guess, possibly under retail once they actually release. I could be wrong about that, but we'll see. I'm kind of dancing around the subject here, but you guys will see why in a minute. But before we get into the shoes themselves, let's first take a look at the packaging. And I've got to say that Jordan Brand knocked this box out of the park. Why is it that some of Jordan Brand's lackluster sneaker releases end up having the best boxes? Not trying to foreshadow too hard, but probably catching my drift. Now, if you guys remember, the 2015 release of the Shattered Backboards came in a standard Air Jordan 1 box. It was black and red. You guys all know the drill. This time around, Jordan Brand decided to change it up and not only make the logo on the box orange to match the shoe, but also give this box this really cool shattered glass print. This print is so sick, and it really makes this box super unique, super cool, and probably one of the coolest Jordan 1 boxes that I've ever seen. Problem is you can't wear Jordan boxes. So a lot of people were like, why do you review the boxes? Well, it's part of the packaging. For me, it's important. For you, you might not care. But I gotta give credit where credit's due. They did a great job with this box. This shattered glass pattern actually extends all the way around the box, even to the bottom, which is super cool. Now, getting to the size tag, as you can see, this is not exactly my standard size. This is a size 8. I grabbed it from Bird Kicks. It was the only pair that I could actually grab that was even remotely close to my size. The official colorway of this shoe is black sail starfish, and again, it is a size 8. I'm a size 9, but as you'll see through some of the B-roll shots, I did squeeze my chunky foot into this tiny sneaker. I guess it's all relative because someone with a size 12 would say that they have a chunky foot and my foot's tiny. But now let's dive into the brand new Shattered Backboards themselves. And first things first, we gotta talk about the quality. It's not as good. In fact, it's nowhere near as good. The leather on the originals feels different. It feels immediately different and more premium. The leather on the new pair feels like every single other pair of Air Jordan 1s. It's plasticky, it's stiff, it's got this like tumble texture that's obviously not real. Not that tumbled leather is a real thing. It's a texture that's literally tumbled onto the leather, but in this case, it just feels worse. I don't know if it's actually tumbled on or if it's pressed on or how they do it with this more plastic plasticky feeling leather, but who knows? So I'm gonna compare these shoes as we go throughout this review and talk about the differences as we get to the different parts of the shoe. So we'll start things off around the toe. You've got this black mudguard. On the 2025 pair, the leather is your standard black leather. It's kind of stiff, it's nothing special. On the 2015 pair, it was soft, it was supple, it was beautiful. Moving up to the leather on the toe, the first thing you'll notice is that the color is different on these shoes. The leather on the 2015 pair is a much lighter shade of orange. It's closer to a yellow. The color on the new pair is much closer to a red. They're both definitely orange. Neither one is not an orange or leaning too close towards red or yellow, but I will say that the orange on the 2025 pair is darker and more red than the orange on the 2015 pair. And maybe this is just because I like the 2015 pair better, I'm not totally sure, but I think I prefer the actual color of the orange better on the 2015 pair. It feels more aged. And this is the color that it always was. Like, the leather didn't change color over the last 10 years. It still looks like this, even looking at brand new pairs. The new pair just seems more, it's not as natural of an orange. Not that you get too much natural orange leather, but if you did, I think it would be closer to this than to this. It kind of feels like this was naturally sweetened and this was artificially sweetened, if you get my drift. In terms of the actual feel, I mean, it's night and day. This is kind of stiff, regular Air Jordan 1 leather. This is your sort of plush shattered backboard leather. It's disappointing. I can't sugarcoat it. Moving up on the shoe, you've got more of that black leather on the eye stay. It's the same black leather you have around the toe. Weaving through the eyelets, you get a set of black flat laces, which is the laces that I just ended up using because that's how I have them on my original shattered backboards. They do also give you a set of matching orange laces, which is actually a little bit lighter than the orange used on the shoe, which is a little odd, but you get them if you want to switch them out. I don't think I ever would, but you can if you want to. Underneath the laces, you've got a pretty standard black nylon tongue, and towards the top of the tongue, you've got this white Nike Air tag with Nike Air embroidered into it in orange. Now, just for the sake of comparison, the tag and the feel of the tongue is basically exactly the same as the 2015 pair. They both are nylon, they both come in black. I guess the embroidery placement on the tag is a little bit different. On the older pair, it's kind of a little bit lower. You've got some more white towards the top. On the newer pair, it's a little bit more centered. Moving inside the shoe, the sock liner comes in black, and it's a very similar material to what you had in the original shattered backboards. However, the foam inside is not as soft. Like, the foam on this shoe just feels more pillowy. This one feels more like you press into it and it immediately bounces back. This one feels more, I don't know, like just like a softer foam. That's really all it is. It's a softer foam. I don't think that's because of age either. It just feels like a different foam. Now, it looks like the design of the insole is pretty similar to the original, if not the same. However, the color of the printing is a little bit different, probably to match the orange on the upper of the shoe. Now, when it comes to sizing and fit, this is where things get a little bit tough because I don't have a true size 9. That's what I usually wear. And I'm not just talking about the new shattered backboard 1.0s. These are a size 8, but in the original 1.0s, I was only able to get a size 8.5. So even this one is a half size down. So I don't have either in my true size, but I will say, compared to other shoes that have released around the same time and look construction-wise the same, this one, true to size. This one, also true to size. Now, construction-wise, the older pair, the 2015 pair, isn't as comfortable underfoot. They've sort of made some comfort adjustments throughout the years to make the newer versions of the shoe a bit more comfortable, which I appreciate. And generally, I'd say newer pairs of Air Jordan 1s have a wider toe box, and it looks like this one does as well. So that's a plus. I think comfort-wise, this pair should be ever so slightly more comfortable, but realistically, it's still a Jordan 1, and Jordan 1s are all not that comfortable. And as far as sizing goes, I would say go true to size like every other pair of Jordan 1s. Of course, if you've never tried on a pair of Jordan 1s before, go down to your local Foot Locker, try a pair on. I'm sure they have a ton of pairs available. They'll probably have these available too, is my guess. Maybe I'm wrong, so try a pair on first before you drop the $180 or however much it ends up being. Continuing back on the shoe to the midfoot, we get to another pretty big departure from the original release, and that's the new color of the midfoot leather. On the original pair, you get this very soft and nicely tumbled sail colored leather. On the new pair, it's bright white, and it's not soft. Of all the things that they decided to change, I understand the quality, although I hate the fact that they didn't update the quality. I get that that's not exactly the same like the original, but the color of the midfoot panel, why would you not make this sail like the original? Instead of the sail color that you get in the original, you get a white midfoot panel, which I think also doesn't look as good. I personally much prefer the more yellow colored orange accents on this shoe and the sail colored midfoot panel to the much redder orange on this shoe with the white midfoot panel. At a distance though, realistically, if you're wearing the shoe, you're probably not gonna be able to tell them apart. Same thing that you have on the lateral side, you have on the medial side, unfortunately. And then moving towards the back of the shoe, you've got more of this sort of dark orange leather that when you compare it side by side to the original, it is night and day, man. It's crazy. Like, this is all one consistent shade of orange, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But on the original release, there's some color variation. You can see the grain through the edges of the leather. Like, you can see that on this pair too, but it's obviously nicer. You can see pores in this one. You can't see pores in this one. You can see color variation. Like, certain parts are a little bit more yellow or a little bit more orange. You can see much more going on in the actual leather itself on the original release versus the new release. And while they feel similar because this leather is sort of stretched over the heel of the shoe, it's pretty obvious that the original pair is significantly nicer. As you probably could have guessed by this point, the leather around the top of the ankle, the black leather, is also nicer on the original. It's still not amazing on the original. This leather is just kind of your standard Jordan leather, at least for the time on the original, but on the new pair, it's plasticky. One other interesting change, but it kind of makes sense based on the time that these shoes released, is that the Wings logo is slightly different. On the 2015 pair, the Wings logo is pressed into the leather or debossed into the leather. On the 2025 pair, pair, it's actually much truer to the OG, where it's embossed out of the leather. Like, you've got the texture of the ball, the texture of the wing kind of coming out of the shoe. I actually think I prefer, because this is the more original way to do it. This is the way that they did it in 1985, but I also didn't have a problem with the way they did it back in the day. So for me, either one is fine. It doesn't really matter. Maybe that's one thing that this pair has over the old pair. Maybe I like the Wings logo better. Not everyone will, but I guess I do. And the box. The box is better. I like the box better. Moving down on these shoes to the midsoles. The midsole on the newer release does seem wider than it was on the older release. That could also be because of age. Like, I've worn this pair a little bit, and this pair's rubber is also 10 years older than the rubber on this pair, so maybe it just yellowed a little bit over time. I'm not totally sure. I wouldn't be surprised either way, like if the rubber is just wider overall and this one also aged a little bit. Finally, moving to the bottom of the shoe, you've got a matching orange outsole on the new pair. Of course, you did have that in the old pair, just my pair is worn. The orange is obviously redder on this pair than on the original, which again would make sense because it matches the leather. So overall, not only are there differences in design between these two shoes and color between these two shoes, but there's also a pretty big discrepancy in quality. The original pair felt amazing, still feels amazing, is one of the best Jordan 1s to ever release. The new pair is a Jordan 1 retro, a standard Jordan 1 retro with shattered backboard color blocking. That's the best way to say it. It's wild because even the shattered backboard 2.0s, which weren't as nice as this shoe, still feel better than the new version of the original. It really is, it's nothing special, man. It's really disappointing to say. If you missed out on the original shattered backboards and you want that color blocking look, you want the orange and you want the black, then yeah, grab the new pair. If you think for even a second that the quality of this pair is as good as the original, sorry, it's just not. Straight up, it's not. Go to your local Nike outlet right now, check out a pair of Jordan 1s, or even your local Foot Locker. Check out a pair of recently released Air Jordan 1s, a standard colorway, not a limited pair. That's what this feels like. Is that the worst thing in the world? No, not at all. But when the original pair was known for its quality, known for the way that it felt, the fact that the retro is not even close sucks. But hey, if you made it to this point in the video, let me know your thoughts on the new shattered backboard 1.0s. Will you be grabbing a pair for yourself? I'd love to know. Leave it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to enter for a chance to win a Switch 2 by checking out my tech channel linked at the top of the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.